Today we're going to be talking about summaries and response. This is the next type of writing you're going to be doing. You're going to summarize a reading and do a response to that reading. So first, let's talk about summaries and what summaries are. Summaries, you probably have done these a bunch of times. It is a concise and detailed discussion about the material. So your friend says, "Hey, did you see this movie? Tell me about it." And you just give them the major pieces of the information from the movie. You don't tell them every single scene. You might tell them your favorite scene, but you're going to basically break down what the movie, the reading, the book was about. When you're writing your summaries, you're going to have to clearly identify your author and the title of the piece. You can't begin a summary by just talking about the piece. You have to clearly identify who it is and what it is, because there's some things that are going to have a very similar summary. The movie Avatar was comically summarized by using Pocahontas, the movie Pocahontas. So if you look up Avatar and Pocahontas, you'll see a very detailed summary of both, and they are very similar in the way the movies unfold. So make sure you're identifying your author and the title of the piece, because things like that can make it a little confusing. When you're writing your summaries, you're also going to require a response to the text. So let's look at what responses to the texts you'll be doing. The responses that you'll have will be to just look at the text and give your personal feelings or your responses to how the text comes across. So if you're responding to an argument, you're going to have to explain if you agree or disagree with it. Or sometimes there's both. You might agree with portions of it or disagree with portions of it. This can be with an example of an argument could be disciplining of children. There might be some things that you agree with, some things that you disagree with. If you're married with your spouse, there's going to be some things you agree or disagree with, and you're going to have some common ground on there. If you're responding to and analyzing the text, you're going to explain what you think the author is saying. So this is the classic English professor question: what do you think this text means? And that is giving your personal thoughts on what you think the story is about or the text is about. And then when you are responding to the text, you're going to respond and reflect. So explore the ideas and the emotions of the writing. What are the things that really come out in the writing? Sometimes with an argument, there's going to be a definite emotion that's added to it. There was a class that I taught many years ago, and there was a argument essay about the response to Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. And there were a lot of emotions that were in that writing, because there was not really a lot of common ground. There was usually one side or the other in the response to that tragedy. So you want to explore the ideas and the emotions that are within the writing. And when you are responding to the text, you want to really support the response. You don't want to just say, here's the ideas, here's the argument, this is I agree or disagree. You got to respond to it. So respond to what the text says. Respond to the facts, the stats, the anecdotal, and the textual evidence. Sometimes those facts and stats and anecdotal and textual evidence can be looked at from a bias. So one person will look at the jobs report that comes out every month and to see how the economy is doing based on the jobs report. So there's going to be one side that might say that the president is doing a good job because there are only this many people unemployed, and other people are going to say that president's doing a bad job because there are a certain amount of people being unemployed. So even with the facts, the stats, the anecdotal, and the textual evidence, um, there's a bias in there. So you're going to respond to what the text says. You're going to also respond to the way the text is written. Look for patterns in the writing. Does the author continue bringing up a single point? Do they keep dancing around the point? Do they specifically leave something out in what they are writing about? Is there a pattern, and does it mean something? Are they adding a specific cadence to the writing? So respond to the way the text is written, because when people are writing, they aren't just writing words down. They are writing to be heard, and there's going to be a meaning behind what they're writing. And also, as you're writing your response and supporting it, you're going to reflect on your own reaction to it. So comment with ideas from your own experience. Maybe you have experienced something that is similar to the way the person in the text had responded to their event. Or maybe you have seen the exact opposite. So think about the Hurricane Katrina thing that I mentioned again. Maybe you happen to be in New Orleans, and during that time you saw that people were helping each other and being kind to each other, and the only thing you ever read about it was that there were riots and there were people that were robbing and killing. So your own reaction to this and your own experience is going to help you in your response to the text. So you're reflecting on your own reaction. How do you feel also about your reading of this piece? Do you have a positive reaction to it or negative reaction? So when you're responding to it, you have to really, really think about and analyze what is being said and what's being not said, what's reading between the lines kind of thing. So to do all of this, you're gonna culminate all of these things into writing your summary. So a summary, as we mentioned earlier, is just a short discussion about a text. So when you're writing it, you don't want to rewrite the text. This is not a thing where you change a couple of words. A summary should look almost completely different from what is the original text, what the original text is saying. So use your own words. Use the things that are important to you in the summary. Find the specific ideas that are being talked about, because there are going to be some specific ideas. Going back to Avatar and Pocahontas, there are very specific similarities between the two, but there are very different things between the two as well. So the specific ideas that are within the text, you're going to write about those. You're going to summarize them and point them out as specifically interesting to you. A summary also is not giving plot points or not a bulleted list of what a document is about. You're not going to have bullets like I have on my screen here that are just going to be, here's one point, here's another point. You're going to have to add pieces in between it so it flows. It's not just a idea. It's a smooth description and summary of a text. And then what you're going to be doing also is you're not going to be adding your own thoughts. This is not an opinion piece when you're summarizing. Your response to it does have some opinion in it, but the summary itself is not an opinion. So if you are reading about Hurricane Katrina again, you're reading about that and you see that you are disagreeing with the way the person is writing about it, and in your summary section you say, and this person did this and I don't agree with that, you're going into the wrong direction. So don't add your own thoughts. Don't add pieces to the information. And this is, again, this is not your opinion. This is just a summary, a concise reflection of the work that you are reading. So to do all of this, you're going to need to do some critical reading. Critical reading is something that I hope that you have a lot of experience with. And we'll just go over a little bit of it right now. Critical reading, it takes some time and it takes practice. It requires your whole mind. You can't do critical reading if the TV is on or you're in the car and the music's going and your friends are sitting in the back seat talking. Critical reading requires you to pay close attention to the reading, and it requires close reading. I teach a creative writing class, and we have a reading about close reading that just says the way that you are reading it, you've got to focus in on every word, every sentence, and see what they mean. So critical reading is a way that is active reading, and it's much deeper than just looking at the words on the page, reading them, and turning the page. You're going to look at the more complex ideas that are in the reading. You might feel like you have to read a paragraph over and over again, or a sentence over and over again to understand exactly what's going on. With critical reading, you're going to be analyzing what is said. You're not just ingesting, you are thinking about it. You are paying attention to what you are reading. You're going to interpret what you are reading, meaning you are going to take the ideas that you're reading about and look at it through your own lens, interpreting whether you agree or disagree with the reading, not just looking at it and turning the page. You're going to also evaluate what you're reading. Is this true? Do I agree or disagree? What kind of weight does this reading have? What kind of things can I learn from it? Is this author, are they trustworthy? Is the author giving me everything that I need to know? When you're doing critical reading, you're going to want to question the text. You might want to have Google open as you're reading. If you're reading a news source, you're going to have Google open and you're going to be checking every single fact that's stated to see if the text really is telling the truth or if there's a hidden bias there. You're going to want to look up the stats for yourself, that kind of thing. And you're also going to want to question your reading of the text. So if you are a reader, for example, that looks only at CNN and you read CNN all the time and you agree with CNN, how would you feel if the same exact text came on the Fox News website? If it was the same exact text, but the banner up at the top said Fox News, would you feel differently about it simply because of the source of the material? So question your reading of it. Question the way that you're looking at it. Don't just look at where it's coming from, but look for your own personal bias in your critical reading. It's going to take some time to do, but critical reading does really help you understand a text more than just reading it and checking the box and being done. So some critical reading skills that you should keep in your back pocket. When you are sitting down to read, I suggest that you have a dictionary handy. I have a dictionary next to my reading area at all times. And that helps me because there are words that I come across all the time that I don't know what they mean, or they might have a different meaning than what I'm used to. Many of your stuff that you've submitted to me for my grading, I have had to look up some words because I have not understood completely what some of these words are meaning. So the dictionary lets me read read critically and understand everything completely. Also, when you are doing critical reading, try to take some notes. Have a notebook ready and just jot down ideas from the the reading that you're doing. You don't want to jot down too many ideas because then you might be over analyzing your text, but jot down as many ideas and just take notes to maybe help you remember what is going on. There have been studies that I've seen that show that taking notes while listening to something helps you remember it better as well. So you could take those notes and you can go a little bit deeper and you keep a reading journal. So this would not only just have your notes, but as well as your response to the reading that you're doing. So the journal would be, instead of little pieces of information, it is whole paragraphs of information that you are using. And with this journal, you can refer to it later and it will remind you of the text that you have read. When you are doing critical reading, you want to read slowly. And you also will probably want to read more than once. So those kind of go hand in hand. Take some time to get through the page. Make sure that you understand what is being read. And if you don't, then go back and read it again. As I said earlier, you can reread the same sentence 3 or 4 times and you get a different meaning every time. And then when you add that sentence to the paragraph itself, the meaning might change even more. So read it slowly, read it more than once. Make sure that you know what you're reading about. And as you are preparing to do critical reading, prepare yourself to learn. Get into the learning mindset. Take a deep breath. Put on your thinking cap, whatever you need to do. Just prepare yourself to find some ideas, find some new things in what you are learning. As you're doing the critical reading, keep in the back of the mind, the central idea of the reading itself. And the central idea could be very blatant, and it could be something that's a little hidden. So just think about the central idea. Don't try to focus on finding the central idea, but just think about, I'm going to find what this author is saying in general. And think about the theme that you are reading about. What kind of ideas is the author trying to get across to you? What's the theme? What is their personal feeling about it? Are they angry? Are they happy? Are they any number of emotions? What are they giving you on the page that might be in between the lines? And then engage with the writing. Underline, highlight, circle, do things to make yourself remember what is being written. When you are doing your critical reading, it will take some time. So just prepare that you're going to be doing some reading for a little while, but it will definitely pay off at the end. And use these critical reading skills to finish your summary and your response to the summary.